Hello and welcome to VIE Speaks, Conversations with Heart and Soul. My name is Lisa Burwell and I am your host. VIE founded VIE Speaks a couple of years ago. We wanted to create a new platform that was a sister to VIE Magazine, and we thought it was a great idea to be able to continue to expound on storytelling with our advertisers, the people we were writing about, our partners, and Linda Miller, owner and founder of Linda Miller Real Estate, is one of those partners who is also a friend and colleague. And I am super excited to learn everything there is to learn about real estate, as she is the expert of 30A and the smile of 30A. Linda, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
I'm excited to be here too.
And to be doing a podcast.
Yes, the latest and greatest
I feel
way.
like I'm with it now.
You're with it. You are with it. You always have been with it, but yes, you're ushering it in this year with the podcast for sure.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
Oh, you're so welcome. Yeah, I love our relationship, and this brand alliance partnership that we coined about 6 years ago. You know, it sounds like a marketing spin,
right,
slogan or something like that, but it isn't, and it's real, and that you've partnered with us for a long time. We give you everything that we have. We back you with all of the social marketing that we can and resources, and then you are a faithful partner on page 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 of our beautiful magazine. And
my favorite place to be.
And, we go way back.
Yeah.
I mean, we have had a long-standing relationship, which feels so good to be in business and have people become friends.
Mm-hmm.
And I think for you and we've had this conversation before, that is the most important thing to us. Like I don't care if, you don't advertise anymore. I only care if we weren't going to be friends anymore.
Exactly.
And one example of that even was, do you remember shortly after the pandemic, and you and I went to have brunch at the Pearl, and we didn't know what the world was going to hold before us, for me, for you. Where were we going to go? And we just were having a really nice lunch. And then you asked me, you go, so are you okay? You going to be okay? And I go, I think so. I'm not sure, but I think so.
Yeah.
And you didn't know it was going to happen too. So we just decided that year where, you were still going to be an advertiser, but you were going to be, obviously like a little bit less on the revenue, because you didn't know what the heck the real estate market was going to do. And I was just forever thankful that you were still staying in the magazine.
Oh, absolutely.
Period.
Yes.
And then lo and behold, who knew, maybe about 4 months after that lunch, that the real estate market became the hottest real estate market in town. And I thought we maybe were careening off a cliff when we had that lunch.
We all did. We didn't know.
How lucky are we?
Yes.
To have somehow survived, which was one of the strangest, oddest things I've ever lived through, not knowing what the future held. And then our little beautiful neck of the woods ends up just being crazy.
Being discovered, really.
Yeah, being discovered.
I think that we saw people, for example, fly in on their jets from California and buy a Gulfront house for $15 million. Cash, done, bought. They didn't move here, but they've got it.
Yes.
And I think we saw people from all parts of the country finding their placeholder here.
Yes.
If they couldn't move here yet, they wanted to own some of this because this is a secret.
Mm-hmm.
And in my open house over the weekend, I would talk to some people from Chicago. And they said, don't tell anybody. And I said, that's what we used to say before you got here.
Yes.
So you're here. Let's tell everybody now. It's been a well-kept secret, but everybody that finds out wants to be here.
Right. But the interesting part about that, too, is that these are people that weren't the typical people who were buying or renting here before. This is a new customer. It's an emerging market or markets that are emerging. Yes. Which I think is super comforting to the fact that the field opened up. And so, we have people from all over the country that want to come to our area, which is, the longer I live here, the more I fall in love with this place.
I know.
And how the people are so amazing, and how safe it is here, and clean and beautiful. And I don't love the traffic, but I love everything else about it.
Well, it's not really traffic.
And you know what? I know. Thank you for correcting me. It really isn't traffic.
We call it traffic, but go to Atlanta for the weekend,
you know
and
what?
you'll see.
You are 100% correct.
Yeah, you will see.
Well,
But I think another thing to remember is that most of us chose to be here.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like your typical urban environment where people are transferred in, or they have to go for their job, or they have to move for certain reasons. Most people here have chosen to be here. So they're
Good
happy.
point.
They want to be here.
Right.
And they're going to make their life good here.
Yes. Good point.
Yeah.
Well, can't really go too much further into the interview without giving you a huge shout out for your recent $21 million closing in Rosemary Beach.
Thank you
on the
so
Gulf.
much. It was on the Gulf, 85 feet of Gulf front. I hope it's okay for me to say it was totally a God thing.
Yes, that's fine. It's okay.
I talk to him every morning.
Yeah.
But my customer that had bought this house, it was the second house she bought out of 5. She ended up buying 5 homes from me. She rented the others, but she kept the Gulf front for her own. They paid $10.5 million for it, and we sold it for 21.
How long? 6 years later.
6 years later.
Talk about appreciation. You cannot get that appreciation anywhere, no how, no way.
I know. And they put $1 million into it and
That's okay.
a lot of other things. But still, it's just, she said to me, if you could get $21 million, I'll sell this house. Okay. But I don't want it marketed. I don't want it photographed. I want it to be by invitation only, proof of funds as is. So what do you do with that when you want to market everything you've got, And so 2 weeks later, I got a call from an agent I'd never met before. I had told 5 agents here about what I had and how I was going to try to work it. And he called one of the agents and they told him about my house. So at 8:30 on the morning, we showed the house and sold the house. I met a new agent that I've never heard before, referred by a fellow agent, and I would love to thank her. She knows her name is Ann, and she knows who it is. Ann Winnicky, she's precious. I love her for that. He brought them over. My customers met them, and 2 hours later, they bought the house.
And that was in like a 3-4 day window?
It had been, I had the listing for 10 days.
Wow. And was your client even more shocked than you might have been?
Yes. As a matter of fact, she said that she had been praying about it that morning to think if she really wanted to sell it or not. And then the people that bought it had been sitting on their balcony saying, if we could just buy that house, it would be perfect. So when they got together, it was meant to be.
Meant to be.
Meant to be.
Well, I mean, to say congratulations doesn't seem like it's a big enough word. Because, I mean, it's not like the rocking and rolling economy that it was. We're in kind of I would call it a transitionary economy where we don't exactly know what's going on, even though we'll get into it further where we're not doom and gloom by any means. We think that we're still going to be fine here and still are. And you'll have some statistics to share with us in a minute. But that is a coup of all coups.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
That is just so happy for you.
And the best thing about this particular couple that sold the house is that we got to be friends. So in the 6 years that we bought and sold and renovated, and we ended up being best friends in the end.
That's awesome.
Great relationships.
Yeah. And that's like, what we say. It really means a lot, and it makes the world a happier place, and it's more fulfilling to keep doing what we do. When you have people that are supporting you and friends and colleagues and people that you trust too.
Right.
It's everything.
Yes.
So getting back to the stats there you were sharing with me a little bit ago, talk about where we are right now and what your feelings are. I know that you still think it's positive. It's just shifting.
It is shifting. And I do a report every month that's on my website that breaks out by community. Because what I loved about 30A when I first got here was the seaside post office and the traditional neighborhood and Robert Davis's vision with Andrea Dwani, yes, thank you. But just the whole traditional neighborhood, I got so excited about it and would come to charettes. And that's what brought me here.
Oh, you would come to charettes.
Oh, yeah.
Huh?
I came to all the Alice Beach charettes that he did. And I just fell in love with Andreas because he's just so smart.
Right, he is.
And I would just be like, I want to be in a room with him and soak up all his knowledge and wisdom. So I break it out by community: Rosemary, Seaside, Watercolor, Water Sound, and then total 30A. So at the end of this year, the total market is down 10 from last year, but the average price home is up 26%.
Amazing.
So the total volume's down. We did $4 billion in 21, I'm sorry. And then in 22, we did $3.5 billion on 18 miles.
That is just, I mean, that's not a sob story.
Oh, no, I know.
I mean, for 2022 to yield that kind of money on, like you said, 18 mile?
Yeah. So I think that's what's brought all the big companies into our market. Like when I got here 25 years ago, I went to work for the first female broker on 30A. God rest her soul. Her name is Sandy Nichols.
Okay.
And she was the only woman out here on these dirt roads working with all the good old boys and, making this happen. So when I first got here, it was a lot of mom and pops. And then I think as the volume a product that St. Joe has created. One day I was riding through Watercolor and I went, oh my God, that house is 2 million, 3 million, 5 million. And I tried to just add up the volume of real estate in Watercolor. It's billions.
Yeah.
So when these big companies see the density of all these expensive houses, they're drawn here. They see what it is. It's big. And it's good.
It's real good.
Yeah.
Okay, so you are celebrating your 25th year in business this year. We have this beautiful ad of Linda Miller's celebrating this milestone. And here she is again. And I'm wearing red in honor of Linda's brand. And she is always or mostly wearing red and looks good in it. Looks better in red than anybody does. Congratulations for celebrating that.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. And talk about 25 years ago. Talk about where you were, how you got here, how you moved here.
Okay.
Three kids? Okay.
2 kids.
2 kids. Okay.
Yeah.
So
25 years ago, my youngest child went to college, and I had wanted to live at the beach for all my life. Like my mom says, when we'd come here, I'd say, I want to live at the beach one day. But I had children, and I did not want to raise a daughter at the beach. So we moved to Fairhope, Alabama, where I raised my daughter, and then she went to college, and I was like, yes, I can go to the beach now. So we moved here, and I just loved it so much. And I had first got this is a good one.
Okay.
My first real estate license I got in 1978.
Wow.
I was going through a divorce. I went to continuing ed for therapy, got my real estate license for income maybe, but then realized no benefits, no salary, 2 children, none of this. So I never used my license for 20 years.
Oh.
I worked in retail for a substandard salary, many, many hours a week. Hard work, but I felt like that was security of a salary and benefits. And I did that while my children were growing up.
Right.
But then in 98, I had my Florida's license, and that's when I came here, and I could sell real estate finally. So I'd loved it for 20 years. I just didn't think I could afford it.
Wow.
And I was afraid to work on a straight commission. And then since I did, I stepped out in faith. I've never made less than 6 figures. My income has grown exponentially. I've been so blessed. But having the faith to not be stuck in a corporate environment for benefits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The all-American dream, right?
It really
although
is.
it's a lot harder than people think because you have to work really hard and you have to never give up and you have to keep having faith too.
Yeah.
But yes, but it can be achieved.
It can
And
be
you
achieved.
did achieve it.
Yes.
So how hard was it back then? Because I know what it was like 25 years ago. I've been here for 30.
Yeah.
And it was definitely a little bit more good old boys than it is now.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, I found it kind of comical, actually.
Yeah.
Sometimes
like
it was
the
annoying.
House and all those old motels. Yeah, I know. That was fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so there were way less realtors back then.
Mm-hmm.
And so was it not as competitive or has it always been competitive?
It's always been competitive, but not as aggressive, I would say.
Yes.
When we first got here, it was kind of laid back. Like the first condo I ever sold, I was building a house. So I was living in this little townhouse, and my phone rang, and it was the man that wanted to make an offer. So I literally wrote my very first offer on the mirror of the bathroom with a bar of soap.
Oh. Whatever works.
I didn't want to say, hold on, let me find a pencil, you know,
right.
or a pen. I'm wet now in the shower. But I literally wrote it on the mirror and then wrote it on paper, you know, but that's how kind of laid back and primitive everything was back then. It wasn't a rush.
Right.
Where right now, if you want to make an offer, you better call somebody and get it in before somebody else. You know, it's much more aggressive, fast-paced.
Yes, it is. And there are so many realtors. I mean, I have a joke sometimes that I say to myself that I am the only person who lives here who isn't a realtor.
You may be.
I may be.
I think so. Yeah. You might be, yeah.
So when did you form your own real estate company?
3 years ago.
Just 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Okay. So then you were the broker at Rosemary Beach Realty.
I was the broker at Rosemary from 2010 to 2018. And if you think back to 10, that was the oil spill.
Mm-hmm.
So we grew that company from 20 million to 300 million.
Oh, I don't even know what to say about that.
And then I thought, I should open my own.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow, thinking about that. So in 2008, we had one of the worst downturns economically that I've ever lived through was in 2008. And then 2 years later was the oil spill. Mm-hmm. And it took a while to rev that engine back up again. So you're saying between 10 and 10 years later, 8 years later, you cranked it up from 20 million to 300.
Well, let's just say in round numbers.
Oh, yeah.
Not to disclose anything, but about 30 million to 300 million.
Yeah. Well, that is just insane.
It was so much fun.
And so much fun, I'm sure.
Yeah. And one of the things I think made us so successful is Rosemary is such a huge rental community. Mm-hmm. People don't realize that you can make $400,000, $500,000 rental income a year, which helps pay for the house. Mm-hmm. You get appreciation, you get depreciation, you get tax benefits, you have a legacy beach home for your family and other people to enjoy.
Mm-hmm. And like just a hardcore, like somewhat for our area of a very strong proven investment.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yes.
And most people can't fathom or believe the statistics that you're saying right now, but that is exactly what's going on here.
Yeah, it is.
In the land of milk and honey that we're living in right now, really, like very different than so many other places.
Oh, I know.
In the world and definitely in the rest of the country. You know, we really are a little gem.
Right.
Undiscovered. Well, not quite undiscovered, but.
Well, every time I go somewhere, on vacation, I think I need to get away. I go somewhere, I come back, I want to kiss the ground when I get to 30A, you know? So the story about that is one of my friends that I sold the condo with the bar of soap.
Yeah.
When she came back the first time, she called me and said, I'm back on the smile. And I said, what do you mean? She's like, the smile of 30A. When I get on 30A, I can't stop smiling. Mm-hmm. She's from Atlanta. Mm-hmm. I just love it here so much. And so I hung up, very happy. And then I thought, I looked at a map, and it looks like a smile. And I called her back. can I steal that? I want to use the Smile of 30A for my logo.
Love it.
And she's such a good friend still to this day. And she said, sure, take the ball and run with it.
I love it.
Yeah. So I've been the Smile of 30A for 23 years.
I love it. And then your brand is really indicative of who you are. You have a beautiful smile. You're always happy.
Thank you.
And you're so good to your customers. And you're just like energetic is not a good enough word to describe your bounds of endless energy. And every time I see your picture with your red dress or your red shirt on, with a big smile, who else can own this brand like you can, the Smile of 30A? It's amazing.
Yes.
Such a good story. Well, I know you're also heavily embedded in the community. You have 4 generations in your family right now that are living here, right?
Yes.
Which is a blessing.
So in the last 5 years, my dad went to be with Jesus. He's left us, and my mom moved here, and she's in assisted living. She's 93. My brother and his family moved here. My daughter and her 3 children moved here. So we're all right here, but we have 4 generations of women. My mom, 93, me, my daughter, and then the youngest is 10.
Wow.
Yeah.
And does your daughter work in the business with you?
Not right now. Okay. She's been teaching school.
Yes.
She was a kindergarten teacher at Dune Lakes, the new elementary school.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow. So great. Well, we're going to be taking a photo shoot of your family is going to be on in that shoot too on Friday too for a revised Lips on the Beach.
Yes.
With Brenna Knies, and that's going to be exciting. And you've also been very supportive of our community. Through and through, always faithful with various philanthropic endeavors, and always, led the torch for being there for people. And now, this year, you and I are on the board of the CVHN, and we interviewed them a little bit ago this morning, and I think that it is such a authentic, energetic, and supercharged organization to do an authentic work for kids that need dental assistance. And I think the board has a lot of great people on it. I love that you're on it, and there's so much energy. And do you want to share what you are planning on doing for them this year?
Oh, yes, definitely. Well, when CVHN started, and I think it may have been 20 years ago.
It was 18.
How many?
18.
18, okay.
Yeah,
so
close enough.
Tricia Northcutt, I want to give her credit, saw a need by relating to this one child that always got in trouble at school. And Tricia had the vision to see his teeth were terrible, and kids would pick on him and bully him, and the anger would cause him to be in trouble. And so she said, if we could just get help for these kids that don't have dental, if 100 people gave $1,000, that would give me the money to get this off the ground. So she said, let's start the circle of 100, $1,000 a person. And so we all met out where Alice Beach is now, held hands, everybody gave $1,000, and she started CVHN. So now they're doing mental health as well. So last year I decided I give a portion of all my sales to CVHN.
So good.
Dental and mental, and focusing on their well-being and making them want to smile.
Yes.
What's more important?
No, it's a perfect alignment.
Yeah, what's more important than that? Yeah.
Thank you for doing that.
It's my pleasure.
Yeah, for everything that you're doing with that. It's amazing. And then there's a big fundraiser coming up. With at Lynn and Steve Dugas Estate. And I forget the dates.
The Tip Tops.
The Tip Tops
in March.
March 10th, I think.
10th or 13th, maybe. Yeah.
And so last year that was a big fundraiser and very successful for them. So I'm sure it will be successful again. And then with everything that you're doing and just like with us all kind of joining hands to help that organization.
Well, it's kind of like I was explaining to Johnny, my boyfriend, because he thinks
Your handsome boyfriend.
He thinks I spend too much money.
Oh, well, I think most men think we spend too much money.
But I was explaining to him that in a community this size, you got to keep it flowing. Like, you can't just hold your money. I mean, like, if I make money, I go out, I spend money, the restaurants will do well, the servers do well, everybody, it flows.
Right.
And it flows down many, many times.
Mm-hmm.
So I always try to share. Jesus wants us to share, and I always try to.
Yes, you do. You do. Oh, I love it. I absolutely love it. So, yeah, Johnny, your boyfriend, he's been working with you too, right?
Mm-hmm,
and that seems like
years.
that's been fun.
It's been most fun.
Yes, so good. And he's good at it. And then you can do something together, because it's hard to do things that you're doing that hard with that much hustle by yourself. Right. And so having a partner that you're able to co-labor together and have some fun and then enjoy in the successes is a blessing.
It is a blessing.
Yeah.
And he's very gifted in videography and marketing. So he does that for me.
He does.
And he has been a real blessing.
Yeah, that's so great.
Yeah.
Is he amazed at the craziness of the real estate market here?
Mm-hmm.
Like, it probably took him a while to understand, like, legitimately how it really works.
Yes.
In that it just seems to never die.
That's right. Well, he learned a very good lesson by doing open houses for me.
Yes.
And there was a Gulfront house on Hinton Drive that we had listed for $13.5 million. He sat there every day from Thanksgiving until March. Every day. He put the flag out, be there 3 or 4 hours. And one cold day in March, it was a rainy day, these people walked in and he said, "You're my first people to even come in the house today." And they said, "Well, guess what? It's your lucky day. We're going to buy this house."
No way.
"We've been looking at it. We're going to buy it." And they did.
Wow.
And then they gave us their $6 million house in Watersound to sell.
Wow.
So he had a very quick $20 million lesson in perseverance.
Yes. Showing up
with a smile. And they told him, they said, "Every day when we go to lunch and we're here, we've seen you put that flag out." And I said, "Let's go and see."
Wow.
So that's a great success story,
that is, yeah. Well,
Just keep showing up.
Showing up is about, it is so much more important than people think it is, because it seems like it's very small and it's not glamorous to just show up or to stay, to keep doing something. I mean, that's kind of November to March. That's a long time.
Almost 6 months.
Yeah. I mean, that's some faithfulness to the operation.
Yeah, exactly.
That's pretty good. That's amazing.
But you also get to meet people, and people are the biggest part of the business.
Right.
Like, I have a customer that I went to lunch with last week. She's a Delta flight attendant, retired 20 years ago, bought her first house in Seacrest Beach with her retirement funds for, let's say, $500,000. She's bought 4 different houses from me, now has a house that's worth $2.5 to $3 million.
Wow.
So just by having a trusted advisor that knows the market, we've been able to turn that 500 into $3 million.
Yes. Well, I hope you're listening out there. Linda's the one to go to to exponentially grow your wealth.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And this is such a good way to do it. This is just amazing.
Yeah.
So what else is on tap this year? Like, are you going on vacations? Or are you just going to hit it hard here?
I always go to the luxury real estate meetings because I'm a part of an international group of real estate agents.
The Regents.
Yes. Yeah. And I'm on the Regents board. Yeah. So we always go, we have a West Coast and an East Coast. So in April, we'll go to Key Largo.
Oh, good.
And then in the fall, we go, I think, somewhere out west. I don't know yet. But it's a group of maybe 200 and 300 agents that own their own company or independent companies that get together and brainstorm. And that's usually where I travel.
That's
where
awesome.
I work.
That's awesome. Well, I wish you continued success, as always, this year. And you are very well spoken, and you really know your business. I mean, I always marvel at that, but you know it like inside out.
I live it.
You do. I mean,
I love it and I live it.
You love it and you live it. I know.
Yeah.
Well, Smile of 30A, Linda, thank you so much for being here. Appreciate it. And anyone that's looking for real estate, you must give Linda Miller a call. She's amazing.
And I answer my phone.
Awesome. Well, thank you everybody for listening and watching, and have a great day. Thank you. Bye-bye.